Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Objectivist Girl Live. Today we have Jesse Forgione,
Forgione.
Forgione, and he is here today to talk with me about the book The Secret. And this book basically advocates for the power of positive thinking. This idea has been around for a really long time. Ayn Rand talked about it a little bit in her Primacy of Existence versus Primacy of Consciousness. And we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about values. And how are you doing today, Jesse?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Jesse and I started talking when I asked for someone to who had read The Secret and wanted to discuss it, and he filled the objectivist and had read The Secret criteria, so I invited him on. And
No, I actually had not read it.
Oh, you hadn't.
But we were talking about the idea and how, you know, it's something that's been around long before they wrote that book. So
right, it's a repeat of something that they've written over and over.
It's an old line of bullshit repackaged. Yeah.
So there's a few bullet points in the back of the book, and we're going to use these to guide the discussion and talk about why The Secret is not valuable. It defies Ayn Rand's metaphysics, and Aristotle's for that matter, and which is who she pulled it from. And second of all, it also defies the objective theory of values, which I talked about earlier today, which is the correct method for getting what you would want out of life. So let's go ahead and get started with the first point. The first point in the book is everything is energy. You're an energy magnet. So you electrically energize everything to you and electrically energize yourself to everything you want. And this is the first claim that she makes in this book. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that we are not, whether we are built of energy or not, because we are not a magnet. What do you think, Jesse?
Well, they're making a claim about physics, so that's really something that, you know, we could talk to, or maybe even you could say a claim about human anatomy. So that's really something that's an empirical question that you could go to physicists or doctors to talk about, and, you know, it's not something that you can, it's not something that's mystically revealed to us. It's something that we could check and observe and see whether that's actually the case. And, you know, I think as of yet, seems that is not the case.
Absolutely. So,
I mean, it depends how vague you're being, but I think what they're trying to make it imply is certainly not the case. You know, I mean, we're made of energy, that much is true, and, you know, but it doesn't imply anything magical or that, you know,
that we're magnets,
or that we're you know, or that we're well, maybe I'm getting ahead of what you've gotten to so far, because so far, I mean, they haven't actually got to any of the more magical things yet. But yeah, but one thing I'd want to point out is a lot of times with these kinds of things, they'll start with something that's trivially true and equate it with something that is non-trivial and false. So, you know,
right.
We're made of energy, that much is true, but that doesn't imply anything, you know, it doesn't imply that we have magical powers or that we are sending thoughts out into the universe or anything like that.
Right, which is actually the basis of her next claim. She says, you are a spiritual being, which I'm not even going to touch that. You are energy, and energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just changes form. Therefore, the pure essence of you has always been and always will be. First of all, I just want to state that this is a lot of hippy-dippy BS, first of all. And second of all,
that's true, but we can get a little more detailed there. See, that is what they just did with the therefore, um, is precisely the kind of equivocation that I'm talking about. So like she goes from energy cannot be created or destroyed to therefore the essence of you cannot be created or destroyed, and the essence of you is really more pattern that the energy is in than the physical quantity of energy itself. So,
Absolutely.
you know, if I take this computer and smash it to pieces, all the same physical matter is still there, but the computer most certainly is not.
Absolutely. We are made of more than just energy. We have personality. We have things about us that make up our essence that is more than just energy. And to say that, she downplays what individuality really means and what human beings really are. I think she's absolutely degrading what a human being really is. What do you think?
Um, yeah, it's also implying when she says a spiritual being, she's also implying this kind of like um, extra ingredient that makes you what you are, that you're not, that it doesn't actually matter um, in a sense, like what your brain is doing or any of those physical things that make you what you are, because the essence of you, as she's putting it, is really just this extra ingredient, this like spirit or soul that just sort of haunts your physical body, and that's obviously a lot of bullshit. I mean, the mind is what the brain does. It's not some extra ingredient, you know.
Absolutely. So she goes on to say, the universe emerges from thought. We are the creators not only of our own destiny, but also of the universe. I think this is probably where it really gets bad, because honestly, this is her defying existence exists. This is the thing that you sent me about the primacy of existence versus the primacy of consciousness. She's
Hmm.
denying that existence exists, and that existence is simply what we can perceive, and we create
Yeah, and that's
existence through our perception.
yeah, and Rand argued that that's really the heart of all of this mystical crap. It's they're uh, they're arguing for what she called the primacy of consciousness as opposed to the primacy of existence, meaning that um, rather than your consciousness being something that perceives and integrates information from reality, it actually thinks and creates reality. That consciousness is some entity that was there first and creates physical reality, and that's um, and it's really just a kind of it's a rationalization for this kind of wishful thinking or this kind of just fantasy of wish fulfillment. Like that that the way to hold on a second.
Yeah, and Jesse, I gotta tell you today, I actually, I gave it a shot, and I really tried to make ice cream appear in my hand. And no matter how hard I thought, and no matter how hard I tried, that ice cream did not appear. So we can't control reality through our consciousness or imagine things the way we like them to be and suddenly expect them to be that way. We have to recognize reality.
Oh,
Then, by
there you
recognizing
go.
reality, we are able to
I
bring.
got cut off for a minute. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what I was saying is we're able to recognize reality, and by recognizing it, we can um, we can form expectations for our life, we can form goals, and we can form an action plan. And that's the proper way to do that. That would be valuing objective values and valuing the objective theory of values. instead of the subjective theory of values, which is basically what she promotes, is the idea that if this is what I want, based on practically nothing, if I just want a rich husband, I just imagine being with a rich husband so hard that eventually the rich husband comes into my life. I fill my closet full of his clothes, and then suddenly he just shows up in my life, and that's insane.
Well, every every con basically works that way. Every confidence man knows that the way to, um, you know, they know that you can't con an honest man. You have to play to people's wishful thinking, and people really do know better, but they want, they're very eager to believe that um, that they can just sort of have things for free, or that just by wishing, they can um, just make things make the things happen that they want, or make their life the way they want it to be. And I think that on some level, everyone, of course, knows that that's not true, but um, it's enticing for them to believe that, and so if someone can sell them a rationalization for that, then they're very eager to believe in it, and let that person take advantage of them, uh, in order to facilitate their evasion of reality, and the real um, costs and means of achieving the things that they want. They
Absolutely.
by reversing by reversing consciousness and existence, they're trying to reverse cause and effect, and have essentially effects. They think that they can give themselves value by essentially just kind of pretending to have the effects, or by
Mm-hmm. I I think it's actually an insult to the ability of people to this theory. I think that people are capable of achieving whatever they want, not because of some thought process that takes no effort, but because of the fact that they're actually out there making effort to change their life and make it what it is. And I think that this sort of theory on things downplays how hard people work to get to their goals. I think it's actually an insult.
well, yeah, it's an insult to the people who really do make things happen. It's an insult to human intelligence, to that, the people that it's being sold to. I mean, I don't think anyone really believes it. I think they're, in a sense, debasing themselves in order to pretend that they believe it, and you know.
Yeah. So the next thing that she says is, and I actually agreed with this first part. She almost had me here. An unlimited supply of ideas is available to you. All knowledge, discoveries, and inventions are in the universal mind as possibilities, waiting for the human mind to draw them forth. You hold everything in your consciousness. Oh, she was so close. I assume that the universal mind is the world, and so if she, basically what
Well,
she's saying,
that's essentially like a kind of Platonism. It's like the idea that these abstractions, just already exist as forms out there in the realm of reason, and
Mhm.
and that they're there to be discovered.
Wait, but isn't she claiming that knowledge is knowable? I mean, that's her first claim, and then she moves into, and
Well,
it
of course,
exists
all those
inside your
things are
consciousness.
knowable. All of those things are knowable if you actually do discover them, and you know, um, I mean, no, I don't think any reasonable person is going to dispute that.
Right.
Uh, that we learn things about reality. I mean, actually, a lot of people do dispute that, but notice the qualifier I used was reasonable, so that excludes most philosophy professors.
Mm-hmm.
So, but of course we learn things about reality, and and you can certainly learn anything that there is to know. That doesn't mean that it's existing to be plucked out of the ether, or that it's some platonic form that exists as as a pure abstraction before anyone thinks of it. So again, it's like trying to escape causality, trying to have knowledge out of nowhere, just like it's trying to have material effects out of nowhere.
And what do you think this universal mind is that she speaks of? What do you think that means? I wasn't clear on the universal mind.
There are a lot of similar ideas like that. I mean, it's similar to just the idea of God or the collective unconscious, or any other kinds of collectivism. It's just mystical crap.
Yeah, she gets really. Didn't she get very communist somewhere later? No, that was something I was reading earlier. I just got that mixed up with them. I'm reading a lot of different books at this. Oh, yes, right here. It's the next thing. I was right. We are all connected, and two are all one. So, like, collectivist, and, like, everybody is all connected, and we all need to work together, and,
well, those are also very vague statements. What's that?
Oh yeah, I agree.
Those are also very vague statements that we're all one. What? We're not all one person. And, it doesn't mean anything.
Right, and she capitalizes one like it's this great one. And I think any author that's willing to advocate for the idea that humans are all one in any way, shape, or form is, again, downplaying the amazing ability of the individual. And they're downplaying how great and how different everybody really is. And when you look at people as one, you lose what makes people so awesome, which is their ability to create and design unique things, their ability to be able to I mean, it's the individual that creates something, not a collective.
Yeah, of course.
And so, right, and an individual.
People certainly do cooperate, and there's there are all kinds of great things that come from what you could call not really collective, but just cooperative action. I mean, people are interacting and trading and making each other's lives better all the time.
Right, but that's them working together as individuals.
But that's an effect
them.
That's an effect of individual action, not any. It's not. People don't think collective thoughts, and they don't.
To one another. We're not subordinated, and that's what collectivism is, versus cooperative action, which is individuals working together on a voluntary basis, instead of collectivization, which is us subordinating ourselves to each and every person in the group.
Mm-hmm.
We're a servant of them. So let's see, what else? She says, let go of difficulty, cultural codes, and social beliefs You are the only one who can create the life you deserve. Okay, I'll agree with her on the you are the only one who can create the life you deserve. Not in the way that she's advocating, but letting go of your past and your cultural codes and your social beliefs, that's a decent exercise, but to forget those things is just, I mean, when I think of letting go, I think of just forgetting about all of those things, and I think those things play into part of existence, and it is part of existence, and to let go of it and forget about it is to deny one part of existence and take it out of your perception, and that's not okay, I don't think. What do you think?
Well, I think, again, this is kind of just a very vague and kind of meaningless thing to say. I mean, you know, in one sense, it's true but trivial. You know, you're the person who, you know, makes your own decisions and does, you know, is responsible for, you know, what you do in life or what you're going to have in life, and
Right.
so of course that's true, and you know that's, but you know, in context, it seems like she wants it to imply, you know, that you have some kind of magical power over your life, and of course, it doesn't. That doesn't follow at all. You know, you've got, you know, being the one who's responsible for your life doesn't imply any kind of metaphysical facts about what that means for you or what you should do with your life.
Yes, agreed.
And,
She's making
and
a random.
I think the bit about, you know, just sort of, you know, letting go of your, you know, cultural background or whatever else it is. I mean, that can be good. I mean, if your cultural background is stupid, but you know, I think really the intended effect of that statement is more to give the reader the sense of letting go of their own beliefs and understanding and sense of reality in order to buy into this new paradigm of philosophy or this new kind of mystical belief system. You know, like it's kind of like just saying, you know, forget everything you thought you knew because this, you know, and don't try to understand it or anything based on what you've known in the past, because, you know, this is a whole new magical thought, a whole new.
That you're creating some new reality in the whole world, right? It's just like you have your own reality now.
I think that's the feeling that's meant to be. I think that's kind of the emotional effect that that statement is meant to bring about. Even though, if you read it literally, I think it's true and somewhat trivial because it doesn't go into detail. But the effect that it's meant to have on you is to give you that feeling of, you know, just forgetting all of your like reason and understanding and all of your knowledge and just kind of embracing this new paradigm.
Right. Agreed. And she also says, and this is the second to last idea in this back part, is a shortcut to manifesting your desires is to see what you want as absolute fact. Holy metaphysical fallacy, Batman. I mean, like, let's forget that existence exists and just live in this fairy tale land. It's exactly what you were saying, is you've created this own reality of your very own, and you should just go ahead.
That is the central point of it. That is the main point, is that your imagination is creating reality. That's the whole secret. That's the whole idea. And,
I mean, are people,
you know, that's
really?
That's what they're selling.
I mean, I know that people are buying this because of the power of positive thinking, and yes, I get that you should think positively about your life and help, but are people honestly falling for this?
They've always been falling for it. They've been falling for it for thousands of years. It's just like in Napoleon Dynamite when Pedro says, "Vote for me, and all your wildest dreams will come true."
Oh my gosh, I love that movie. I can't believe you brought that up. Yeah. I mean, it's like these politicians that just make really any claim, and everybody still buys it, even though it's so utterly ridiculous that it's completely impossible and outside the realm of reality. But people keep still believing them, and I.
They're all saying the same thing. And there was a great scene. Do you watch House of Cards?
No, I don't. Unfortunately, I've been told so many times I need to watch it, but
There's a
I
great scene
honestly don't.
where the politician is in a church and he gives this sermon, and basically it's because he's, trying to get people to like not blame him for something awful. But the whole point of the sermon is the central theme is like lean not on your own understanding, and this whole
Oh gosh.
that's really the purpose of all of that religious stuff. It's the same thing that every politician is selling you. It, you know,
That
it's
that makes me think of the scene in Atlas Shrugged where uh, I'm rereading Atlas Shrugged because Jeffrey Tucker's reading it for the first time, and we're going to do the books all together in 3 parts. And so there's, I know.
You had not read it before?
No, this is his first time, and I get to do videos with him about it. And I'm so excited. And so, anyway, so I'm
Such a
rereading
good
the book. I'm in book 1, and so Dagny comes in and says that she wants to have Reardon steel as her new metal, and she wants to build the railroad. And he goes, how can you rely on Reardon steel? And she's like, because I saw it for myself. And he's like, yes, but who told you that it's okay? I did. Like, this is pure, like, science. I don't know what your problem is. And so she's just, I took engineering. She looks at him and she goes, I took engineering in college. Like,
Right.
I mean, I studied it. And she just, it was just so funny because what you just said reminded me of that scene, and I just read that. But we are running out of time. I want to go over this last thing real fast. Probably won't take that long because it's just so ridiculous. Once I read it, you'll probably laugh. Your power is in your thoughts, so stay aware. In other words, remember to remember. And I remember reading this for the first time and thinking, but what if I forget to remember to remember?
Well, I think a good contrast to end on would be more like Rand's idea. Of course, it's not exclusive to her, but the idea that your power does come from your mind and from reason and from all the things that your thoughts and mind allow you to do. And that, of course, that is where your power comes from, and it's precisely because of that that you have the judgment to not fall for these kinds of mystical scams or these things that try to, sell you, this kind of like,
Right.
the,
I just did a video on Rand's intrinsic versus objective values. And I talk about Rand's theory on values and how to achieve values. And the video is called How to Achieve All Your Dreams Through Objectivism. And I think everyone should go turn it on right now and watch it, because you don't need the secret. You don't need to pretend that there's some alternate reality. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve in this reality, right here, with the correct method, with recognizing reality and creating a plan based on it. So just go watch that video. It's really
and the key difference there is that you're not, and Rand was not telling people to discard their own understanding and believe in some oracle, including herself. But rather to apply reason to their own observations and to be honest with themselves, not evade reality, and
And unfortunately, we're going to have to end here because the next show is coming on the Voluntary Virtues Network. But thank you for coming on, Jesse. I had a wonderful time, and I think our audience had a wonderful time too. Awesome. Well, I'll see you guys next week at this time on the Voluntary Virtues Network for Objectivist Girl Live. And remember, knowledge is not for all men, but for those who seek it. So keep seeking.